Buddy, we'll get started here now. It's about 2 minutes after 7. I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight and taking part in our open mic forum here, where you can feel free to get up to the mic. Just give us your name and your address and ask away. We'll answer all your questions to the best of our ability. If there's a question we can't answer, we'll make sure that we get back to you on that. But having said that, glad to see you all here, taking the time and the care in our great community, and good to see you all. I'll now turn it over to our to our clerk, Nicole Rubely, who will give you some housekeeping items, and then we'll turn it over to our CAO from there.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on this gorgeous day. My name is Nicole Rubely. I'm your General Manager of Legislative and Development Services and your Municipal Clerk. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that the town of Wasaga Beach is located upon the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people of the Three Fires Confederacy. We also acknowledge that the people of the Wyandot Nation also inhabited these lands. We acknowledge that these nations were sovereign nations existing before the arrival of the settlers. We respect the spiritual interconnection among these nations to the land and to the water. We also acknowledge that waterways near us have a long history predating European arrival. Since time immemorial, waterways were the lifeblood of the Indigenous people by trade and hunting routes. We are dedicated to inclusivity of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in our future stewardship of the land and the longest freshwater beach in the world. In the spirit of reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity of learning to be sustainable caretakers of the land and waterways for all future generations. Once again, we appreciate you taking the time to participate in this public town hall meeting. This meeting is an opportunity for residents to hear about town-wide initiatives and projects and to ask questions directly of staff and the mayor. We will begin with a brief presentation from our CAO, Andrew McNeil, followed by a question and answer period. As always, we ask that everyone engage respectfully so we can have a productive and meaningful discussion. We ask that you come to the mic with a limit of one question at a time, indicate your name and address, and state your question clearly and directly. If you have any additional questions, you are more than welcome to go to the back of the line. This will allow for us to answer as many questions from as many people as possible. Please note that questions this evening should focus on topics of broad, town-wide interest. If you have questions related to your specific property or situation, we encourage you to contact Town Hall or email staff where we can best assist you. Thank you again for being here. Your input and involvement are important to us. Without further ado, I'll turn the floor to our CAO, Andrew.
Okay, thank you, Nicole, and good evening, everybody. Before I start, I promised the Deputy Mayor that I would let you all know wasagabeach.com/subscribe. Please, everyone, if you want to go on there, that'll give you a great source of information. There's a lot going on in our community. And are you getting any feedback? No? Sounds okay? Okay, a little bit of feedback up here. There's a lot going on in our community, and there's a lot more coming over the next couple of months. So if you want to be up to date with all the latest and greatest that's coming from Town Hall, please go to wasagabeach.com/subscribe. Out of curiosity, how many of you attended the Destination Wasaga presentation? Okay, so a good group of you, not everybody. Hold it up a little higher. Okay, excellent. What I'm going to do, I'm going to give a very quick presentation, probably 15, maximum 20 minutes. I'm going to fly through a bunch of things, and I'm going to touch really quickly on some components of the Destination Wasaga Master Plan, as well as some other ideas. And I've had a number of people come to Town Hall over the last few days saying, I just got back from Florida, I just got back from into town. So this is a good opportunity to get everybody caught up on some of the wonderful things that are happening in our community. So, to start, the worst kept secret in Wasaga Beach is now official. And every presentation we do, this one always gets a standing ovation. So, building permit. There you go, Rita, gave another one. So again, this is going to be a game changer for a lot of folks in our community. Every time I go to Costco in Aurelia, I think half the store is full of Wasaga Beach residents. Now you're going to be able to decrease your drive a little bit. Building permit was issued. The construction should start late spring, early summer. We are hearing doors open November, which means this is going to be well under construction over the course of the summer. Hopefully it opens a little bit sooner, but you should be able to do your Christmas shopping in the new Costco. For those of you that don't know where it is, it's right at the corner of Ramblewood and Lions Court. We've had a number of people ask, are you going to try and get a slip lane off of Highway 26? Absolutely, we will. In the interim, MTO can be a little challenging to deal with at times. So we wanted to get the building built, but that will be something that we look at doing over time so we can keep a lot of the traffic away from the community and keep it on this highway. The trade area for this goes all the way to Owen Sound, so it's going to be a lot of people coming to Wasaga Beach to shop in this Costco. It's a full Costco, hearing clinics, tire care center, full gas bar, which I'm sure we're going to be thrilled with given the price of gas lately. But again, so we're looking forward to seeing this over the next little while. In addition to Costco, we have a Food Basics that's going to be built. So this is going to be built on 45th Street and Robinson Road. Again, full-size Food Basics. So we're reaching a population size where we can now support a lot more variety. So this is great for us. Means we don't have to travel as far to undertake our daily needs, but more options for all of our community. And drum roll, we're also getting another Shoppers Drug Mart. So the Shoppers Drug Mart is going to be located kitty corner to the Foodland store over on the east end. So as I mentioned, this is really supply stuff. So when you hit a certain population size, 25,000, now you can support more retail commercial. So there is positive that comes with growth. The bigger you get, the more options you get within your community. I should mention all three of those are in site plan right now, so permits should be issued shortly. Hopefully you'll see all of those under construction in 2026 or early 2027. Now this is an image of Beach Drive. This was taken a couple weeks ago. So to give you a quick update on where we're at with this project, the overall project is about 39% complete. How we arrive at 39%, that's 39% of the overall construction dollar value. The blue line here shows 60%. That's all of the underground stuff, all the pipes and conduit that goes below the surface. The stuff that's really important when you flush your toilet, that's what makes it work. But the stuff that you don't see, the stuff that you do see, all the surface treatment, the trees, the benches, all of that, we're just really getting into that, so we're about 10% done. Obviously, these numbers are going to dramatically increase over 2026. By the fall, we are hoping that a lot of the hard surface infrastructure, a lot of the hard surface paving, et cetera, is virtually complete. It will cascade into the spring of 2027, likely plantings, et cetera. But we'll see if we can get most of it done by the end of this year, but we're on track. And I think if Arnott was standing in the room, I'd ask you all to give them a standing ovation because the work they did this winter was phenomenal. It was a very challenging winter, and they continued to install that sheet pile throughout the winter with all those winds, etc. Not an easy thing to do, but they got it done. The entire sheet wall is essentially complete. Now that is not the finished height. There is a decorative stone capping that will go on top of that. The finished height will be approximately 2 feet higher than what you're seeing in this image. What is going on right now at Main and Moseley is we're building one of the first roundabouts at the beachfront. Arnott Construction wants to expedite that. We had a choice to make. We either do it in the spring and get it done really quickly, or we wait until the fall because we didn't want to disrupt the really intensive tourism season where a lot of folks are coming to town. So we made the decision to expedite it, and so they're moving quickly. This should be significantly complete by end of May into June. So long before the busy summer season, this will be functional. And again, they're doing a pretty amazing job. It won't be 100% complete. Likely some of the landscaping will trickle in afterwards, but it will be functioning as a roundabout. For those of you who have ever tried to make a left from Spruce Street going across the bridge, your life is going to get a lot easier. Roundabouts, I won't get into the science of them, but they have proven to be a lot safer for pedestrians. So it's actually an ideal thing to employ at this area where you have heavy pedestrian volumes, and it slows cars down, which makes it safer for everybody. So we're looking forward to getting that done fairly quickly. This is the first building in the Breakers development, the Stonebridge development. You can drive by and see this today. This is what we're building adjacent to it. So as soon as the concrete gets poured on the roundabout, Arnott is going to move over to First Street and start building this street. We are targeting to have this street complete by July 1st, give or take a day either way, but our goal is to get this done for Canada Day. All of the hard surface treatments. This is a new type of street that you're going to see down at our beachfront. These are called flush streets, no curbs. So they're a lot easier to navigate for people who have issues stepping up and down curbs, pushing baby carriages, etc. And the great thing about this kind of a street is when you close it to traffic, it functions like a wide open plaza. For the summer of 2026, we will not open it to cars, so it will just be a pedestrian-oriented space. And we will be working with Stonebridge, who are going to look to activate the ground floor of that building. The ground floor of the building is commercial, so you will see shops and cafes open up in those spaces. So I believe Stonebridge is looking to have some pop-up stores in there as soon as we are able to do so. So we're looking forward to seeing this, and this will provide an ability for all of you to get down and see a finished space, touch it, walk around in it, and give you an idea what the future holds for the finished spaces along Beach Drive. In this area will be the new Beck Square. For those of you familiar with the history of Wasaga Beach, this is actually more sensitive to the history because that's where the old building used to sit. So the monument to the old Beck Square referenced the old post office, the old town hall, fire station, etc., police station. So that will be coming along with the new First Street. Now, as soon as we are able to, we're going to activate that space in 2026. So Stonebridge, a couple weeks ago, just purchased this stage. It's a very cool stage. You can tow it behind a truck, and then it's a bit of a transformer, unfolds, and you can set up shop virtually anywhere. So as soon as we're at a stage where the construction is significantly complete, that stage is going to roll into the space, and we're going to start activating it with great bands and live entertainment. We're going to have restaurants, cafes open up here. We'll put Christmas lights up, picnic tables, all kinds of stuff, and this is going to be a great place to go for a portion of the summer. And again, we're under construction, so we need to provide this kind of stuff to the best of our ability. So I look forward to seeing this opening up in this summer. This, I believe this is a video that we're going to play here.
Ideas. So that when we build the plan that we're going to then share with the community and all of your parents, they're going to be able to see your ideas represented.
I'll narrate the video. What you're seeing here is a group of us from staff went out to all of the public schools to engage all of our kids in the future of Wasaga Beach. So you'll see the panels over on the side wall. That was the product of these sessions with these kids. So phenomenal ideas, we captured them all. We had an artist with us. Every time a child offered an idea, we actually drew it, and that's what we drew. So we just wanted to let you know that as part of our Destination Wasaga Master Plan, we engaged all of our kids, and we heard from a number of staff whose kids are in local schools. They came home that evening really chatty. They were so excited. So I hope they went home to some of you and shared their ideas and their excitement about the future of Wasaga Beach. And now I'm going to quickly fly through some key elements of the Destination Wasaga Master Plan. There's really 5 areas: West End, Main End, Spit, Main Street, and Discovery Corridor. At the Main End, one of the things we are focused on, and this is really about the next 10 years, we want to focus on things that are achievable and that can make dramatic change that we can all see in our lifetimes. So this area has always been about fun. We want to focus on bringing the fun back to the Main End. We are under construction. This is the first Stonebridge building. The Breakers, First Street under construction this summer. This is where the new roundabout will go. The new Sunray Hotel will be located here. And then immediately to the right, we are looking at building a new Festival Square, and then anchored by what we are referring to as a new music hall. You can refer to this as DARD 2.0, really whatever you want to call it. This is critical to the history of our community. We all have amazing stories to tell about the Dardanella. I have many from my upbringing in this community, but we think it's really important to build a new Dardanella or a new arts center. So that's going to be one of the first things that we focus on building, and that's the location that we think it should go, immediately adjacent to a new town square, new festival square. So the energy, the entertainment can spill inside, outside. Adjacent to that, a number of other buildings that can house artisans, great active energy that you would find at a beachfront, a new parking structure. We've had a lot of questions about, well, what about the parking? As you build on the surface parking, where do the cars go? We recognize you actually need to transform and build a structure. So this is one of the first structures that you will see. When we build anything, we always want to take an opportunity to make it fun and cool. So instead of just building a blank wall parking structure, we actually want to do something different. We want to line it with things like climbing walls. Maybe you have a zip line off the top of this thing. Maybe there's a slide that comes down from the top. So we want to get creative, and everything we do, bringing fun back to this zone. Along the river, we want to look at a transient marina. Really important that we bring some of this energy from the riverfront into the heart of the future downtown or main end of Wasaga Beach. This is also a little more protected from the elements, so cold, windy, rainy, either in shoulder seasons or the summer. This is an area where you can go, and we expect to have some cool shops and restaurants open up along the riverfront. Artist rendering of what this area can look like. We're looking at a fun deck down by the beachfront. This is an area, Coney Island, Jersey Pier, Jersey Shore, that type of place. Carousels, Ferris wheels, perhaps look at some indoor amenities for people that can go down in the winter and actually have some fun down here. Middle of summer, you can have some kiosks that can activate candy floss, popcorn, candy apples, that type of carnival atmosphere that we've always had in Wasaga Beach. That's the new art center and some of the other key buildings adjacent to this area. So this is really the heart of the fun zone. Out on the Spit, we're taking a very light touch, a very green, sensitive touch to this area. Some of the key things that we see happening here: potential for an eco-resort nestled into the dunes, as well an opportunity to build a significant entertainment venue. This is something that we've struggled with for many, many years. Concerts, events are part of our DNA in Wasaga Beach, but it's been very difficult to actually ticket them. So when we hold a concert down on the beachfront, We bring in April Wine, Tom Cochran, etc. Costs a lot of money to bring these acts in, and it's very difficult to actually charge and get money back, so we can cover the cost of this. Actually having a proper venue would allow us to ticket, actually charge to go to an event. One road in, one road out makes it logistically much easier to deal with. There's also abundant parking immediately adjacent. So this, we think, is a bit of a game changer and will help up our game in terms of delivering live entertainment, again, which is part of our DNA in Wasaga Beach. A little bit closer to the end, and we recognize there's an area of natural significance. We're staying out of that. We're staying out of plover habitat. We're not touching dunes. We're respecting dunes. We're being proper environmental stewards. But we have an issue at the mouth of the river. Every so often, the river, the silt builds up, and you actually need to go and dredge. Otherwise, boats can't get up the river. They can't navigate it. To go out and dredge the river is actually environmentally a very bad thing to do. It disrupts fish habitat, etc. So we want to take a look at formalizing the edge of this river, making it a little tighter. You increase the volume of the water flowing through here, and then the silt will actually go out more in the bay and prevent this area from silting up as much. So we've got a bunch of experts looking at the potential for this, and we'll be able to share some of the results fairly soon. The other opportunity this provides is for a bridge. We are the longest freshwater beach in the world, but it's not the longest connected freshwater beach in the world. This would allow us to connect the main end, Wasaga Beach, with New Wasaga and Allenwood Beach. As someone who's grown up half my life at the main part of Wasaga and half my life at Allenwood, I can tell you this would be a game changer for a lot of our population, being able to walk to the main end or ride your bike to the main end. So we're going to look at the opportunity to create walking paths and bike trails that would then connect here, prevent you from having to ride your bike out on River Road where there's a lot of cars. This is a bit more of a scenic area, a little more comfortable for all people of all ages. As well, that bridge is a tourist shot in itself, where that can be a destination. Let's walk to the bridge, take a photo with your grandkids or your family. Adjacent to that, it wouldn't be that difficult to bolt on a deep water marina. This is something that we don't have today. We cannot have large boats come to Wasaga Beach. Our river is too shallow, so a deep water marina would allow us to attract bigger boats. There's a lot of people, a lot of money floating right by us between Collingwood, Owen Sound, and some of the other areas local by. Let's bring those people here so they can spend time and money in our community and support all of our local businesses. Main Street, not that different from what we have been pursuing in the past. It's called Main Street for a reason. It used to be our main street. The goal is to bring it back and make it Main Street again. Specifically between Beck and the bridge is an area where we really want to focus on small scale, independent mom and pops, really experiential type stuff. We don't really want the Shoppers Drug Marts and the national chains to land in this area. This is where we want the cool stuff, the ice cream stores, the independents, Nona's, etc. So this is where you really create great experience right on the opposite side from the bridge. The Discovery area, which links up to the current Nordic Center. Nordic Center is drastically underutilized. You go over there today, beautiful day, there's a nice closed for business sign. That shouldn't be there. That should be open year-round. There are amazing trails in there. A lot of us walk around the sign and just go walk through the trails. It should be open. So what can we add to that Nordic Center? Perhaps a spa, like the Scandinav Spa, things that really attract people to that area. Running along Access Road beside Town Hall, there's an opportunity for a green corridor and a new bridge over to Nancy Island. For those that live in Blueberry Trails in that area, this means you could walk to the beachfront. So a direct connection between the Nordic Center, Nancy Island, and the beachfront. Nancy Island, you're likely not going to see a lot of new buildings built on the island itself. The provincial government provided $25 million for Nancy Island. They could spend $25 million flood-proofing the island, or they could use that $25 million to build a new building on the mainland side. They're going to spend it to build a new building on the mainland side. We haven't seen the designs yet. We're hearing any day now. They're going to share those with us. So we're excited to share those with you as soon as we see them and as soon as we're able to. Along 3rd Street then is an area, we see this as a really important pedestrian corridor taking us to the Culture Park. This is an area where we would have a large event performance area. This can be more intimate, so Thursday night, concerts in the park type thing, Shakespeare in the park, that's where that could go. This is an area where we can reflect a lot of our history, and we have an amazing history in our community. Moving down along Beach 2, you can see the existing parking in Beach 2. In the short term, we're not going to touch any of that. So the parking in Beach Area 1, the parking in Beach Area 2, is going to remain. I know our council is looking, once we have the ability to offer this, to extend the free parking to all of the residents for these areas. But we need the parking in the short term. Our goal is really going to be to focus on this edge and create some destinations along the edge of Beach Area 2. This can be bringing back splash pads, some pavilions, some areas with kiosks, etc. So you can get a bite to eat along this whole corridor. In the long term, we see this area transforming into one of the most significant and beautiful parks on Georgian Bay, and with amenities for all of you, for locals first, tourists second. So things like building pickleball courts, tennis courts, great pavilions here, etc. So these are things that can draw our community to the beachfront, some things that you can be proud of to interact with all of your neighbors. So we think this has great potential for Wasaga Beach. And then beyond 1,800 hectares of provincial park, this is an amazing opportunity for additional experiential type stuff. We call this glamping. It's just higher end camping, in the trees, enhanced campgrounds, etc. The town is 100 acres right beside the sports park. Let's see if we can use that land and actually do something cool out there, really experiential. Down on the beachfront, stewardship, very important to us. Sandra, who is sitting to my left, has been working very closely with Birds Canada to establish a program for this summer. So we're taking this very seriously, and again, we want to make sure that as we build this plan, we're doing all the right things, and again, we are looking at this through green glasses. This is the concept for the new Marriott Hotel, $65 million hotel that came to council last week. We are exceptionally thrilled with this, and let me walk you through exactly what is proposed. So the first hotel building is a 166-room hotel. They actually increased that. They started at about 120, and they increased it to 166 because they are so buoyant about the opportunity here in Wasaga Beach. They are also building in the first phase a 300-seat convention facility that can host destination weddings. They will also be building one level of underground parking underneath this area. Phase 1B, we'll see a second hotel building built. The Marriott itself is one of the higher end, top tier Marriotts. The second hotel will be a couple stars less, probably a little more affordable for families that are coming to hockey tournaments, etc. So quite thrilled about that. Phase 2, which they will move on fairly quickly, they've told us ideally within a year. As soon as the hotel finishes, they will turn their attention to building a parking structure for additional parking for the hotel, which will be lined with ground floor activation, retail, restaurants, etc. It's not going to look like a parking garage. They're going to line it and face it. So you're actually not even going to see the cars. And then all of that energy will help activate our new Festival Square. Sunray is actually going to build Festival Square for us, they're going to pay for it. The town will own and maintain the square, but Sunray will pay for the construction of it. And then this will be the final phase building. Again, another image of the hotel. So just to explain what we have here on the ground floor, you'll see the rocking chairs that they have on the ground floor. They're trying to create a beach feel to this building. It's a modern interpretation of a beach type building, but they want the rocking chairs, the public ground floor looking over Georgian Bay. On this end will be a significant, I'll call it a burger joint, but it's much more than a burger joint. I can't disclose what it is just yet, but I think when we are able to unveil that, you're all going to be thrilled. It's a very popular place that I think is going to draw a lot of attention, and probably all of you are going to want to go there quite often to eat. On this end is a spa, indoor swimming pool, spa open to the public. And then on the roof is an amazing amenity. You'll see here, there's a higher-end restaurant. It's going to be a Michelin star chef running the restaurant there. Probably the best views of Georgian Bay, and then they'll have an outdoor patio overlooking Georgian Bay. So that is going to be a destination for folks all over Simcoe County to come and eat there, and also an amazing wedding venue. So really a first-class opportunity here that's really going to help us drive economic development at the beachfront. In addition to the Marriott, there's another hotel coming. This one's on the west end, adjacent to the casino. This is a Hampton Inn. Hampton Inns, I stay there myself. They're pretty good, pretty decent quality place to stay. So this one's going to be built. That's the yellow. This is the casino here. This is the yellow building here. And then they're doing some additional commercial buildings immediately adjacent to that. Our two schools, we tried for many, many years to get a high school. We're now getting two, which is phenomenal for our kids. This is the Catholic school. They put the project out for tender. The tender has closed. They now have the final bids on the project. The Ministry of Education is just reviewing those final numbers. As soon as they provide sign-off, which should happen any day now, construction will start on the school. You'll notice all the bulldozers and the graders out there. They're getting the final grades of the area finished, so that as soon as they hit go, that school will get built pretty quickly. I think you're all aware there's an elementary component, secondary, childcare, post-secondary skills, and then this community theater, which we're very proud of. We were able to leverage this opportunity to bring a 300-seat theater to our town. At very minimal cost. It will be a joint room used by the kids during the day, and then evenings, weekends, holidays, we get to use it as a community venue. This is going to be probably one of the best theaters in all of Simcoe County, so we're looking forward to having this. I mentioned there are two schools. This is the other school. This is the public high school that is going to be built out on Sunnydale. So there's a bit of friendly competition between the two boards to see who can get their building built first, which is fantastic for all of us. And that's it. I've tried to keep that short. And I think now we're going to open it up, and feel free, ask us questions about anything that I just touched on or anything that's top of mind. No question is too difficult. So fire away. And maybe we can raise the lights at the back.
So we invite everyone to one of the microphones in each of the aisles. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank all staff that put together this public meeting today. So thank you for all your hard work, and for all our extended leadership team and other staff that are here in attendance. And we'll introduce the panel, and I'll start to my far left.
Good evening. My name is Craig Williams, and I'm the General Manager of Community Services, as well as your Fire Chief.
Hello everyone, Kevin Lalonde. I'm the General Manager of Infrastructure Services and the Director of Public Works.
Good evening again, Mayor Brian Smith and Chief Whipping Boy for the town of Wasaga Beach.
Good evening, my name is Jocelyn Lee, and I'm the Chief Financial Officer and Treasurer.
Good afternoon, my name is Sandra Watts, and I'm the General Manager of External Relations.
I think you all know me, Andrew McNeil, CAO.
Wonderful, and I will start to my right.
My name's Jim Coleman. I've lived at Wasaga Beach Wasaga Beach. There's no O in it. It's Wasaga Beach. I've lived here for 40 years, and I just wanted to make a suggestion. You're putting a break wall along the front. Why don't you run a 12-inch drain pipe right alongside of it and have it every 100 yards marked off as a destination with a little cap over it for a privacy booth, and make it a P station all the way across. That one end, just think out of the box here. One end, water comes in, shoots across it, purifies, back into the bay. Good thing? Damn good thing. One other thing, our parking area on Spruce Street, that should be residents only. You guys have got to think about the people of Wasaga, not the outsiders that are going to jam it. We have nowhere to park. That's one thing Mayor Nina did. She designated that a parking area. Anyway, my thoughts.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not sure whether we should respond to the first one or not, but what I will say, you don't need to get back up. We are looking at a number of bathrooms, both in the short term and long term along the beachfront, so hopefully people won't have to pee into a trough along the edge of the break wall.
I'll tell you one thing, it's a lot cheaper than building 10 washrooms.
Thank you, sir. And a reminder, please ensure all residents get your free parking pass for the summer. Ma'am, to my left.
Yes. First, I want to say the plan looks great. I was really excited. I heard apparently that Stonebridge is putting permeable paving into that area in that square, which is very environmentally friendly. Nice to see all the talk about the dunes and preservation, but I guess this is more Department of Works. I was just curious, because of the sensitivity of the beach and the dunes, I'm just sort of wondering why we're starting to do rake and grooming so early in the season, because my main concern is a lot of the blowing sand and erosion that's taking place. If you live anywhere near along any of the beach roads accesses, there's a huge amount of sand that blows up. So when the sand is nice and smooth after the winter, there's not a lot of blowing and drifting, but when you're raking it every day and starting like a month and a half before the peak season even begins, you know, there's like, I can show you like down some of the streets where there's, you know, the sand gets to be this deep. So I feel like, you know, there's a lot of studies about, you know, obviously mechanical grooming and raking being long-term detrimental, but it has to be done obviously during our peak season at our main beach areas. But I'm just wondering, you know, why they started already and why they're doing it every day when there's not debris every day and there's not people every day. I just feel if we're trying to balance the environment and the needs of the tourists, that maybe there's a more sensitive way to do it, like not do it every week and maybe not start it until into mid-May as opposed to starting in these sort of shoulder seasons. And in the later summer, I noticed there's, you know, all the monarch butterflies are all over the beach and the, you know, the rakes and stuff go up and down there. So I feel like we should be condensing the raking, not doing it every day. So I'm just wondering what the Works Department sort of policy is, if maybe you could reconsider also not doing between 12th and 16th Street and keeping it more to the public areas, just to, again, minimize damage.
Do you want to take that, Kevin?
Certainly, thanks for the question. So Ontario Parks would historically start early April.
Not now, I'm not doing it now.
They're not doing it now, obviously. The town is taking that on, but they have historically started early April and worked their way from the park over towards Spruce Street. So we are maintaining that program. As we move into the season, yeah, we'll continue with the daily raking and during the peak season, but it will be weekly until that point. Right now, we're going through a bit of a transitional stage with training and trying to just dial in. There's two pieces of equipment that we use. There's the beach groomer, which is the Barber surf rake, but also we have this the York rake, which is what you've seen historically by the province. But in terms of our practice, we will continue with the raking as Ontario Parks has, so it's weekly in the off season.
Following the town's guidelines.
Yeah, we're following what Ontario Parks has done historically. We're not raking that area. I'm not aware of what Ontario Parks is going to do west of 16th Street. That hasn't been shared with us, but in terms of our raking strategy, it's weekly for kind of the shoulder seasons, daily in the peak summer seasons, certainly for Beach Area 1 up to Spruce. And then there's going to be no raking, obviously, east of Spruce. There's no raking in New Wasaga, and then we'll maintain the status quo for the weekly raking in Allenwood.
Thank you. To my right.
I'd just like to thank you, Andrew, for the lovely presentation. It was very good. I was at a focus group with Urban Strategies a week ago, and on your map is Parkade. Now, Urban Strategies said that it was going to be a 6-story parkade, and it's going to be basically right on the beach. Is that set in stone, or is there any other area that you could put it? For example, I was thinking the parking lot where the old museum was on Main Street, because I personally, if I'm taking a photograph of the beach, I don't want a 6-story parkade in it. So I'm just wondering if it's set in stone. And also I'd like to know what other people here think about a 6-story parkade on the beach.
So I'll start if anybody else wants to comment. If you recall during my presentation, I said it's not going to look like a parking structure. So the intention is to wrap it. The issue that we have, there's no shortage of parking down there. There's 600-700 spots out on the point. There's a few hundred in Beach Area 2. There's a lot of parking, but what people like is convenient parking close to where they're trying to go to. It's like when you go to Costco, do you want to park at the end or do you want to park right by the door? You drive around until you get that spot close to the door. So we're trying to provide close, convenient parking to the heart of the future downtown area. There will likely need to be multiple parking structures. Is it set in stone yet? No. What you saw was a draft plan. We're thinking about all of the feedback that we heard, and Urban Strategies is going to be taking that into account and subtly tweaking the plan. So again, we heard you loud and clear, and we're going to make sure that we do our best to incorporate all the feedback that we heard.
Okay, I just like the town to take into consideration the safety of women, also the safety of mothers with young children when walking way back to a parking lot on the Spit, or using a parkade. I personally will not use a parkade because of safety issues. And I've lived across Canada, and unfortunately know about a lot of really bad incidents in parkades. Yeah. So I just want the town to take the safety of women into consideration when you think about where you're going to put these structures.
We take the safety of everybody into account.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Patterson. I live on 38th Street, and I'm going to ask a question that's kind of broader in scope. But it seems to me that obviously Wasaga is a very geographically unique kind of existence, a long, narrow strip community, and it's all serviced by Mosley Street. It's a main thoroughfare. So as the town, as we grow, it seems obviously that some relief has to be provided, and I'm hoping you can tell me that there is a plan in place that is addressing that concern, and that there's going to be a bypass developed somewhere in the near future in order to provide for logical, sustainable growth to the community. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. In terms of the transportation strategies that we have evaluated to date, we've already undertaken, actually just recently, the environmental assessment where we look at long-term planning strategies and improvements that can be made, not only along the transportation corridor, but what other options might exist. We have looked at alternate detours some time ago. It was in probably probably 2008, I believe, is when we last looked at, what a detour might look like. Unfortunately, there are a lot of environmental sensitivities with that, and just cost and infeasibility is really not manageable. But in terms of an alternate east-west route, we have also, and you'll notice in the official plan and some of the new schedules, we've also looked at long-term connections between Sunnydale Road and Powerline Road, or Golf Course Klondike Park Road, we'll say. So in terms of where Freethy ties in with Klondike, we've envisioned an extension from that corridor right through to Sunnydale Trail. So we have started the planning with that. We've incorporated those connection nodes through the draft plan of subdivision for Sunnydale Trails. And then you're right, it's a challenging corridor with the river and how long it is, but we also have the sensitivity of the dunes that occupies a lot of that area that you would think is the most appropriate east-west corridor that would run parallel and south of Moseley Street. So there has been long-term planning. We've actually advanced the detailed design to make the improvements from 45th Street West through to Beechwood Road in terms of urbanizing that, widening that, improving signalization along that corridor. And then we have, through the planning stages, a forecast in terms of when we plan to make those upgrades subject to funding. So the secondary corridor has been looked at. It's just, it's not really feasible given some of the environmental considerations.
The one thing I would add to that is for many, many years, there's always been talk of a third bridge. There will come a point in time, it's not in the short term, where we will need to build that third bridge to take pressure off of Moseley. The best strategy to alleviate traffic congestion is to provide multiple routing options. That's what a third bridge would do. It would help provide other options for folks. So there will come a time when we do need to build that bridge.
Well, let me make the obvious comment that I'm sure everybody understands, and that is the longer you wait with the alternatives, the more development will take place that will then make it difficult to provide the alternatives. So
yep, we understand.
I'll leave it with you. Thank you.
We understand. Thank you.
Hello. Whoa. I'm loud. I've been seeing on socials that the Sunray and joint venture deal is done, and I'm just wondering if you could give us an update on that. And my name is Maria Peters, and I proudly live in the Stonebridge area.
So I won't get into the details tonight. What I will share with you is everything's good. The deal has not fallen through. I'm going to be briefing council next week on what we're recommending. And then subject to council approval, we'll share it with all of you and we'll move pretty quickly to finalize the deal. But I can't give you the details tonight, but please rest assured, nothing bad is going on. It's all good. Once you hear the details, I think you'll like it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Morley Berkovich. I live on Knox Road. I haven't been speaking to crowds for quite a while, but I give you credit, Andrew, for this presentation, and I wish you luck. One of the things you talked about was a marina. In I think either 97 or 98, there was 2 studies made by Ainley and Associates about the marina on the river. If you haven't read that and you want to read it, I have copies. Okay, I'd like to, my questions directed to the treasurer. The other day I went on the net to council agendas, and I was looking for the register, the check register. I couldn't find one. When I was on council, we always had a check register, and we questioned the department heads, and the public also had a chance to do that. And now we don't have it, and I'm curious why that happened, why we don't have access to where our money is going. And maybe
Thank you for your question. I believe it was about a year ago, we did bring a report forward to council with a recommendation to stop producing the report. It was an efficiency issue for the Treasury Department to produce the report. There were timeline issues in trying to get it produced, and we didn't think that that report really was required. So at that time, the decision was made to support no longer producing the report. The financial information is brought forward quarterly to council, and all the information that is needed to see how we're spending the funds is available online through the staff reports. Thank you.
If I could add, as part of the budget, council approves budgets for all departments. We operate within those budgets. All that you were seeing on the check register was spending that had already been authorized by council. So it really wasn't that a good use of time. There are still a few municipalities in the province that produce check registers, but not many. I think the majority no longer do it.
I was talking to the Ministry of, what would that be, municipal and something, and they were quite surprised that we didn't offer that. So
they shouldn't be, most don't.
Yeah, because it's always nice to know where that money is going individually. Anyways, that's just my comments.
My name is Gloria, and I live at the west end of town. And I'd like to know how many Costco's have been put 2 blocks from a public school. And I would like the town to test the particulate matter around that school before it's built. And in a year from now, when the millions and millions of cars are filthing the air in a residential area. I was at Costco in Barrie last week, and I was shocked if it's going to be like that. And I feel so sorry for the kids. They're going to be breathing that stuff every day.
Well, I'll start because this is something that we have conversations on at just about every meeting here, and it's something that I have conversations, and I believe most members of council have conversations on out in the public. I can tell you, folks, that of all the questions I get as mayor in this last year, it is probably 15 or 20 to 1, Costco, when is it opening, versus all the other questions that people have about our community. It's quite a phenomenon. I think what's important to note is the area where Costco is being built for the last 2 or 3 decades or more, that area has always been zoned as a business park, commercial, industrial area. And, I had a conversation just about 3 weeks ago with a gentleman and his wife who were not happy that Costco was being built in their backyard. And I understand that. But my first question to them, what their point to me was, how can you possibly put a Costco in a residential neighborhood? And my answer was, we're not putting a Costco in a residential neighborhood. We're putting a Costco in an area that has been zoned for that for years and years and years. The fact that a commercial area backs onto a residential neighborhood is not uncommon. If you look at any commercial area anywhere, next to it is probably a residential area. And so my next question was, did you not know that these lands were zoned as of right for a Costco? And the answer I received was no. I was told that that would be more residential. And I asked, who told you that? Well, my realtor told me that. The developer told me that. And here's what I said, and I mean this with all due respect. If your realtor told you that, then your issue is with your realtor. If the developer told you that, your issue is with the developer. And your bigger issue, in my opinion, is with your lawyer, because your lawyer maybe should have made you aware of that. But what I can tell you is that those lands have been zoned for this, for an industrial business park, for decades. We're fortunate enough that a company, a world-class company such as Costco, has chosen to come and chosen Wasaga Beach as the place to be. You know what I'll add to that, folks, because there's a lot of conversation around town about, you know, changes that are happening, and are they good or are they bad? And are we ready? And here's what I would say. Do we really believe for 1 second that a world-class company like Costco or Marriott Hotels or any major food chain or any major retailer would really choose to come to Wasaga Beach if they hadn't done their homework and they weren't confident that their business could be successful? I don't think so. You know, I said it at a meeting a couple of weeks ago that, you know, we've all heard of NIMBYism. And we're now past that. We're now at the banana stage. And banana means build absolutely nothing anywhere near anybody. And unfortunately, folks, or fortunately, the world's evolving. And Wasaga Beach is evolving. I can remember when the population sign in this town was 400 people. I remember that very clearly. I remember getting out of public school at Oxbow Park, which is now Worsley, when I lived on Glenwood Drive, 4 doors away from Town Hall, and riding my bike at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon from one end of town to the other, and maybe I had to switch lanes 3 or 4 times. It was wonderful. But it's not like that anymore. We're evolving. And Wasaga Beach, we need to evolve. And we hear from people all the time, we need to evolve. And that's what we're doing. And with that comes growing pains. I'm here to assure you that this council and our excellent staff here are planning and doing all we can to make sure that the speed of that is timed in such a way that we can handle that growth. And we all have opinions. You know, we all have opinions on a car going by us at 30 or 50 kilometers. If you're close to the road, a 50 kilometer per hour car seems like 90. But if you're back from the road, it doesn't seem so fast. And so traffic volumes, you know, staff over the years, not just this council, but many councils prior to now have made sure, and staff have made sure, that the homework was done to build roads to be able to handle these types of businesses. And Kevin can speak to Lions Court and Ramblewood, for example, and the fact that those roads were built to handle the traffic that they will see. Now, not everyone's going to agree with that. I get it. If I live there, I might not agree with it, or I might not like it. But that's evolution. And the one thing we know for sure, you either continue to move forward or you die. Kevin, can you speak to those roads?
I think generally, as with every site plan application, we require transportation professionals to assess the impact of the increased traffic on the road network. So they analyze, they understand existing growth or existing background traffic, and then they apply a number of variables. And these are transportation standards that are applied with every application. We do review those. The one in particularly in Costco, Lions Court and obviously Moseley Street are provincial corridors, so there is influence from the MTO as well. But they're evaluated, they're vetted by staff, and we certainly take a lot of effort in making sure that the upgrades and the improvements are done as part of or coincident with the warrants when they're needed associated with every development. So it's common practice with these large developments, and yeah, there are standard practices and design guidelines that we follow with every transportation study that's submitted.
Just a follow-up to what Richard was saying about traffic. I guess I'm just concerned more about sort of the old part of Moseley Street, sort of from 18th Street over to the main beach area. So it's old residential areas. It's not like River Road where you've got lots of setback where you're able to eventually widen, and the same thing you're planning to do at the west end of town, you can eventually widen it to 3 lanes. Those little areas have houses that are very close to the road. There's no chance to widen it. So I mean, all the stuff like the main beach is super exciting, but it just sounds like there's going to be literally thousands and thousands and thousands more people. And that kind of gridlock and traffic going from, 18th over to Main Street and up just seems like there doesn't seem to be a plan. Like we're just going to get stuck in it. Is there?
So when we started to look at, there has been environmental assessments and planning initiated for Main Street area as well as the downtown development master plan. So we have looked at that. Obviously, we've seen significant traffic through that corridor historically, and we show a lot of the investments and a lot of the development in the Beach Area 1, but it's not all going to happen tomorrow, and it will happen over the next 10, 15, 20 years. We do have, like right now, there's only so much money, right? And so our primary focus has been the River Road West, Moseley Street corridor. But I can tell you within the 10-year capital works forecast, we do have the evolution of that planning and then future detailed design for the Moseley Street corridor. As his worship had mentioned earlier, we've already looked at alternate bridge crossings along River Road West and Moseley Street, and we have confirmed its future placement at 18th Street. But in terms of...
make it worse though? Then you're going to bring even more cars down from 18th Street to there? That feels like that's going to make it worse.
Yeah, no, I think what you'll find is people getting out of town will now have a straight corridor down Veterans Way to go south to the highway. So it will relieve that. And arguably our biggest challenge right now is costs for a lot of these significant infrastructure projects, and that's why we're planning ahead. We're getting the designs done. We're having these projects shovel ready, so when future funding presents itself, we're first in queue because we've done the homework and we've got those designs prepared to be submitted. So it's in queue and in our forecast, and we haven't certainly forgot about it.
Thank you.
I'm just looking at the townhouses on the screen right now. So that's the east view. Now on the west side, I did look at them up close. So there were 5 garage doors, and they look like they're single garage doors. And then there are 10 what look like entry doors. So 5 garage doors, 10 entry doors. So if these are stacked townhouses, are they stacked townhouses?
No, they're not.
Oh, they're not. Okay. So there would be 1 garage door per unit.
That's correct.
And will there be space for overflow parking? Because just to the left...
Yes, there's adequate parking.
Okay, because it looks like it is covered parking. Okay, because I thought originally these were going to be stacked townhouses.
No, they're actually a really innovative design, probably one of the best. They're technically called live-work units. So the ground floor is a commercial space, but the idea is getting back to the roots of how towns used to be, where shopkeepers used to live above the stores that they ran. So the idea here is you purchase a unit, it runs from the ground floor all the way up to the roof. Within the unit, there are 3 separate areas. There's a ground floor commercial space, and then the residential actually has 2 doors. You can use all the space yourself. Half of it you can have your grandkids staying in. You can stay in the other side. They're about 3,000 square feet. They're quite large spaces. So they're actually really cool design, but it's not for so the parking actually, they met their parking requirement. They needed a rezoning because of the commercial parking, but again, it's all been dealt with. There is visitor parking, etc.
Okay, because it looks like to the very left, like it looks like they're going to put a cover over some parking. That's what it looks like. Or maybe that's just an awning.
That's the door. That's the awning over the door.
Okay, so with the other townhouses, say at the beach, and particularly if it's a restaurant, they're going to need truck delivery. Has that been taken into consideration, like delivery for trucks coming in?
So these aren't going to drive a lot of truck traffic. Again, these are mom and pop, little 500-600 square foot restaurants, cafes. The stuff that will require trucks is the hotel. There's a service and loading bay with the hotel. The commercial spaces that will be built beside this will likely have truck deliveries, but these aren't going to require truck
And the
deliveries.
deliveries will be through the front door then?
Sorry?
The deliveries of goods will be through the front door?
Sure. Oh,
Yeah.
there's two doors. The garage opens right into the commercial spaces, so they can come in either way.
Okay, I guess I was confused because I saw 5 garage doors, but then 10 entry doors. And that's what confused me.
Right.
Why are there twice as many entry doors?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Sir to my left.
I live on 45th Street, and I guess, yeah, the Costco is good. But I guess generally there's sort of a question about, you know, with all these developments, and if I look at that plan of Costco and this sort of enormous parking lot, it's just incredible, you know, how large that thing is. Good for Costco, but yeah, and then there's the neighbors next door who, I guess you're leveling the point to these residents that they should be way more informed. I think maybe the town could do more, so to make people aware that this, especially if they're going to buy there, that this humongous thing is coming, but they also don't really have an idea what the thing is actually going to look like. And I think there's sort of ethical, environmental, and technical reasons why these huge developments, and you see them everywhere now in the West End, why they completely destroy every tree in sight, so that there's a clear, so you know, there's a clear attack on this property, and that the town, with all the thinking that's going on, has no notion of actually enforcing a planting strip, an area for water to sort of sink in the ground, because all that parking lot, and you know, I moved up here because I don't want to live in Mississauga, and Wasaga Beach at this point still has got a lot. It's got also the biggest freshwater beach, as you're saying. And what are you doing to maintain all those qualities that are here today when it's going to look like Mississauga, and there's no effort, none whatsoever, being done to sort of stormwater retention, that all that filthy water, oil, carbon from tires and everything else does end up on the biggest freshwater beach in North America. And there's nothing in place that stops that. That's a big criticism.
So thank you for your comment. It's actually not correct. There is actually a stormwater pond. Anybody that doesn't know what the Costco is going to look like, I'll let you on a secret. They all look the same. That's why they can build them so fast. That's what it's going to look like. Yes, Costco is a big box store. There is a lot of parking because they drive a lot of customer traffic. So it is a big box world. We are focused on unique quality, real placemaking at the main end. That's where we're doing that. As well, we have nodes throughout town where we're going to concentrate on creating people places. This is more car oriented. It is. That was the intention of the business park. Okay. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Fiona. I did it too. Fiona Reiner, I live on Regina Boulevard. I have a funding question. So Ontario Parks did the very best they could, being seriously underfunded. Now the town has taken over all these strips of beach. That is going to cost a lot of money to maintain. That's the first question. Secondly, I know that the consultants for Destination Wasaga putting together the plan was funded by the province in the announcement from last May. Do you anticipate that the province is going to keep flowing money to you to cover the costs of maintaining all that 60 whatever of beach, and all the cost of all these wonderful ideas that are in the Destination Wasaga plan?
Yes. Okay.
Well, good evening, Fiona. I guess the answer I'd like to say is yes, the province is just going to keep sending us tons and tons of money. But I highly doubt that that will be the case. I'm going to let Andrew speak to this as well, and whatever other staff member. But you know, when we talked with the province, and we are still talking to the province. This is not. You know, we're still working through all of the details here. It's very complex. But what we did is we did our homework and said the cost of the stewardship, if you will, for maintaining beach areas 1 and 2 and looking after them to the same quality, or what we're hoping for, a much better quality. And we looked at that. We looked at the revenue that is generated from the parking lots and its potential if it's open for parking. And we learned very quickly that those revenues will cover those costs. So, you know, the hope is that it's revenue neutral, or we may even be able to generate some extra revenue from that. We're not counting on revenue from that extra because we want to do a better job. We want to make sure that the stewardship and the programs that we put in place with respect to the plovers and the ecosystem, the dunes, so on and so forth, that we can actually improve upon that and do a better job than the province has done in the past. And that's why we're talking with the experts. We're talking with Birds Canada. We're hoping I'll let Sandra speak to that. She's much more informed. We're working with our friends at the NVCA and others to make sure that we get this right. You know, Ontario Parks or the MECP or the MNRF or whatever took 50 years to get where they are today. We're not going to get there overnight, but we have the advantage, Fiona, of learning from what they did do well and what they didn't do so well. And our plan is to make sure that we do what they do at the very least and continue that, but to improve upon that in all aspects. So I'll now let Andrew speak to that, and then Sandra can speak to the Birds Canada part.
Yeah, so two funding streams, operating and capital. Operating for short-term 2026, 2027, we've calculated the parking revenue, and that should essentially pay for most of the operating that we do along there. Combine that with the parking revenue that we generated at Allenwood, and that really is covering our operating costs. Operating costs include getting out, picking garbage, raking that portion of beach that we rake. We don't go into the plover area. It covers enforcement, etc. So we've done all the math on that. That is in our 2026 budget. On the capital side, and that's really turning this thing into reality. Why are we even doing this? We're doing this because the province agreed that this needs to change. They want to see this happen. They want to see this come to reality. They are very pleased with this council and with this community, with the staff team, because we're getting stuff done. The province is getting frustrated in other municipalities where they give a boatload of money and then projects sit there and they never get built. They look at us as a community. When they give us money, they know we're going to get the school built, they know we're going to get Nancy Island built, etc. So we're a community of doers, and that's who they want to partner with. You've heard a lot about Destination Wasaga. That's a very deliberate strategy. Look up in the provincial budget. We are actually referenced in that budget because this is an area that they want to invest in to make this plan real. We talk bi-weekly. I have a call, Sandra, Nicole, we have a call tomorrow afternoon with the province, with the Assistant Deputy Minister. So there's a working team at the provincial level, there's a working team at the municipal level, and we coordinate every 2 weeks on the progress of this plan. And the first thing the province says to us, what do you need? What do you need to make this happen? We've already told them we're gonna need money. We want that cultural center. We're gonna come cap in hand and we're gonna ask for some significant dollars. We want a parking structure. We're gonna come cap in hand. Are you okay with that? Yes, we're okay with that. All they wanna know is what are our priorities. So we're taking this plan that all of the community saw a few weeks ago. Our next step is actually prioritizing, phasing, costing, and coming up with the action plan, that's what they're looking for. They want us to come to them and say, our number one priority is this, our number two is this, and we go and knock them off the list. Okay, we'll give you funding for this, 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 this. They want to see this get built in a short period of time, because I know the Premier and ministers want to look back and point to us and say, look what we made happen. So nothing's ever guaranteed, but that's what we are hearing. And I've shared this before with all of you. What we have been told is the Niagara region went through a very similar process. They worked with the province, the Ministry of Tourism. They created that master plan and then the action plan, and the province is now funding it. They just gave them a check for $1 billion to invest in infrastructure like bridges and roads and all of the infrastructure that they need to make that destination work. That's the trajectory that I believe we are on and that I believe our council believes we're on. And until we're proven otherwise, that's what we're gonna take the province at face value.
And that's what the taxpayers needed to know, because we haven't got the tax base.
Yeah,
Sorry,
but it's a great question.
You said something about Sandra was gonna...
Yes, thanks, Fiona. If I could even just take it back a little bit further to when we launched Destination Wasaga, at the very heart of the whole thing was environmental leadership. When we issued the RFP, when we kicked off this project, and in working with the province for the funding, the $2 million that was announced to fund the master planning process, funds were included in that, for example, for the work that the NVCA is doing with the town to come up with a municipal piping plover stewardship plan. So environmental stewardship, responsible stewardship, piping plover, protecting piping plover, critical habitat, all of that is actually included in this planning process. So funding also has been provided by the province to make sure that we do get it right. We had a meeting actually today with the NVCA just for a quick update to see how that's going. And Fiona, I think, will be pretty pleased. So there'll be further updates on that coming forward. As well, in terms of interpretive signage on the beachfront, Andrew, you mentioned about doing things better. Mayor Smith, you mentioned how we're trying to do things better. I think everybody who's walked along the boardwalk at Beach Area 1, anyone that's been around that area knows that there was a real lack of educational and interpretive signage to explain why this area is so special. We're looking at doing that again, funding provided by the province through Destination Wasaga to make sure that we can do that this summer. So more to come on that. And as you said, yes, we are in conversations with Birds Canada. We have had them here on the ground doing some training with our staff, some initial training. And we are in conversations to actually bring folks from Birds Canada on full-time this summer to be here on the ground to build capacity with our team, continue with really intensive training, and help us to build that capacity. Before, we've referenced it to being a transition in governance, not a reduction in protection. And what we're talking about is before it was Ontario Parks, and now we're saying now it's going to be the town of Wasaga Beach. And I look to Kevin and I say we've got a pretty great parks team. We've got amazing beachfront ambassadors that are coming on, and we can do this, and we've got all the right people at the table.
Now, Birds Canada needs that agreement signed, and they need some money because they don't have the money to do what you're asking them to do. So I hope you're looking at that.
We're aware, and we've made the offer to them.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is David Scratch, and I came up to this area from Kingsville, Ontario, and lived on the same street as Jack Miner, who was the father of modern conservation. I'm also have Indigenous heritage, and I acknowledge that you acknowledged who was on the land first. There's concerns I have about the respect for both First Nations, the land, and people that live in and around Costco. So I applaud the other nurse that spoke up about the particulate matter. So I have a master's degree, and I was at the University of Windsor and always studying environmentalism in my own spare time. But it's the need for us to look at the reality of things. And I moved from Collingwood. I took a job at Collingwood Hospital, lived in Collingwood for a bit, but then moved to Blue Water on the Bay, which is in Wasaga Beach territory. And then now I'm currently at the corner of Bay Sands and Lions Court. So I take that view from living there now past 2 years. as to what's going on, that the deer are scattering, that the water for the beavers was choked off. There was still some muskrats there last fall, but as you do tracking as an Indigenous person foraging for mushrooms or other, you get a real sense of reality of what's happening with this evolution, and that we're actually in a devolution stage. If we're not concerned about children and the public school, the particular matter that's going to impact older folks. And last statement is just that, well, if anybody wants to know what's been going on, just take some time to sit at the back of the casino and see what's at the back of the casino. And that was the deer run.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, you can hear me? You hear me okay? Yeah. Tina, I've lived in the beach for 4 decades now, and thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thanks. I'm just curious with all of this, and this is just coming from somebody who worked at the village for 15 years. Is this going to look like Blue Mountain Village, and will it be managed by an organization like the Village Association, or is the town strictly taking this on?
A little bit different from the Village at Blue, and why I say that, Village at Blue is master planned,
yeah.
And there actually is a central organization that manages the whole village.
I worked for that company, that's why I'm asking this question. Is it going to look like that?
Yeah, the intention here is to build a real place. Not that the Village at Blue isn't real, but it's got a Disney feel to it. The intention here is to build a real place. So the town essentially is acting like the master developer here. We're creating all the streets, we're controlling what gets built, we're ensuring that the hotel works with the Stonebridge, etc. So we're playing the role that IntroWest played over at the Village of Blue, but our goal is in the public's interest to make a place that's welcoming for all of you. So a little bit different.
So will Wasaga be a DMO?
Sorry?
Will Wasaga Beach be a DMO, a destination marketing organization, or will you?
No, so Simcoe County is our DMO.
Okay.
We partner with Simcoe County for our tourism destination marketing.
Yes.
And that's working really well because we're able to leverage all the county's connections, the provincial connections, etc.
One other question, if I could. All of these units, are they going to be individually owned and then rented?
So the Stonebridge development will be for sale. The hotel is a hotel. So you go and stay, rent a room for however long you're going to stay.
I understand that, but I'm asking if it's going to be the same concept of the village. It's all hotels up there too, but each unit is individually owned.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the model at the Village at Blue.
Will it be the same?
To be determined. The Marriott, what we are hearing is their intention is to build Marriott residences, but the first 2 buildings are pure hotels. The last building that I pointed out directly on the beach may be a building that is for sale that gets put in a rental pool, but that's to be determined. That'll be the last phase. We haven't got to that yet.
Yeah, and my hat's off to council here. You guys are taking on a massive undertaking and you're not going to please everybody. So...
Yes, sir.
Oh, hi. So is it on?
It's on. It's
okay.
on.
All right. During the Destination Wasaga presentation earlier this month, Tim Smith of Urban Strategies indicated there were 1,100 parking spaces available on the main end of Beach 1. Mr. Smith indicated that 1,100 spots would not be decreased given that we are pursuing more patrons to the area. The town of Wasaga Beach continues to burden parking requirements by allowing developers to decrease their minimum parking requirements while intensifying the uses. Who will pay for the structure that might be large enough to support the town's destination Wasaga parking replacement and intensification process? Basically, the current destination Wasaga presentation has substantially decreased the dwelling units and substantially increased the hotel accommodation units. Has anyone reviewed to see the current accommodation businesses will be impacted and how the decrease in development fees will affect the taxpayer?
So 2 issues, I'll start. Do you want me to start or do you want to start? Yeah. So on the parking issue, as I mentioned, and as you can see on this drawing, all of the parking at Beach Area 1, all of the parking at Beach Area 2 that's out there today, we're not touching that in the short term. What is going to be impacted is this area, Beach Area 1, where we are taking some of the surface parking lots and building new buildings. We need to do that to create a cool place. Parking lots do not create a cool place. As I mentioned earlier, the strategy is, as you build on surface parking lots, you need to replace that with structures. The first parking structure we are looking at is right here at Janetta, just east of Spruce Street. Sunray will be building a parking structure as part of the hotel. They have not asked for a reduction in parking, to my knowledge. They will be providing the parking that they need. They want to make sure that that hotel functions properly. Having parking adjacent to a hotel, particularly if you're going to get into the wedding business, you need to have enough parking. The only reduction that was granted was for the Live Works, and let me explain why. The Live Works, the residential component, meets all of the current parking requirements. The Live Work units front on a public street. So folks going to those units to buy whatever is sold on the ground floor typically would park in the public street. Stonebridge is going to be providing a third of the funding to build the street. So in our opinion, it made sense to not hammer them for additional parking when the parking is being provided in the public realm on the public street and they're actually paying to build the public street. So in our mind, it made sense. But the rest of the development meets the parking requirements.
So the taxpayer will be paying for the parking, the additional parking?
No. So the street is being built, there's parking built along the street, and Stonebridge is paying for the third of the street.
Okay. The reason why I asked is because the current condo that was just built near First Street there,
yes.
There was a sign up and I investigated what the sign was, and it was to adjust the parking requirement. Now, I understand there was a shortfall in that parking.
That's what I just mentioned.
Yeah, but it was already built and then the shortfall was revealed. I'm just wondering if more of that's going to keep happening as these developments keep going up. And these developers are going to be off the hook for all these parking requirements.
No,
I'm just saying that's what I noticed, and that's why I'm bringing that up.
As I mentioned, it was a unique situation because of the Live Work units, something that we would like to see. It's very important to us to get that commercial on the ground floor. Again, this is not unique, happens in every municipality. But
I would add this. Have you been to Collingwood, sir?
Yes, I've been.
To the main street?
Yes.
Where do you park?
Along the street.
Municipal parking.
But it's only so many spaces.
Have you been downtown Barrie?
Yes.
You park in municipal parking. All of these urban style streets that have businesses fronting on them, predominantly 99.9% throughout this province, probably this country, parks in municipal parking. That's the way that type of commercial works. Now you look at Costco, Walmart's, they have to provide all of their parking on site because they're not fronting on a urban main street, if you will. So this is no different in any way, shape, or form than any other municipality, 444 of them, across this municipality or this province in the way downtown urban areas provide parking.
Okay, and that's fine. Maybe you can answer this question. So there's X number of units in that new condo that was just built. Okay, does every unit in that condo have its own parking spot?
Yes.
That's not what the notice indicated. I found out there was like a 42% shortfall.
The residential has parking. It was the shortfall on the commercial. So we'll move along to the next comment.
Yep, Tal Beerbens, Main Street. Okay, so there's a lead up to the question. So this is about the Sunray deal. The Sunray presentation on April 16th was supported by a number of reports to staff, but the reports were inconsistent. So the phasing numbers were inconsistent and confusing, indicated that day. Mr. Giannone even said the parking was like a game of chess. The Crozier report dated March 2026 was relied upon for parking, was inconsistent, and the presentation was provided. that only a 6-story hotel and the ground floor amenities were included in the Crozier report. The report did not account for 8 stories. The report did not account for the top floor banquet hall facilities. The Crozier report was relied upon and vetted by staff. The presentation was inconsistent with the intent of the report, but presented as the bona fide requirements for parking. When will the public be presented a fulsome, accurate, coordinated rezoning application to review and comment on?
Trevor, do you want to talk about the rezoning application? I don't believe what you've just stated is correct, but I'll let our Director of Planning address it.
So basically, we had a public meeting last week, and now the application is being reviewed by staff. The applicant is currently working on a response matrix to those questions that were being asked. And if you have a question about what the studies that have been submitted are, I will gladly give you my card, and you and I can have a conversation, and we can try to get you sorted out on what is being proposed versus what isn't being proposed to try to answer some of these technical questions that you're asking in this forum.
Okay.
Thanks, Trevor.
Good evening. My name is Rory McGuckin. I live on 42nd Street South. Moved up here into a seasonal home in the year 2000 and have now been living permanently in Wasaga Beach for the past 3 years. Mayor Smith, council, and excellent staff, thank you so much for the presentation. The years ahead look very exciting, and the growth potential is phenomenal. So thank you very much for that. I'm actually up here looking for some reassurances that while a lot of the energies and excitement is poured into this new development and growth down by the main drag and with the high schools, that the rest of Wasaga will continue to be maintained throughout the course of this. I'm hoping that that is the case and that energies are not being totally diverted so that the roads of houses that are 60 and 70 years old will continue to be maintained. The ditches will continue to be excavated where needed so that those of us that live here in some of those houses won't be sort of lost in the fog of this super development. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rory. Thank you very much. You know what I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, as someone said earlier, you can't please everybody, and I would say that every member of staff and every member of this council has the tread marks on the side of our head to prove that. So thank you for those comments. What I believe will happen here with this new development and with things that are moving forward is that we'll actually be able to better maintain the rest of this community. This community currently sits with a commercial tax base somewhere around 94.6%, 6% being the commercial. Most municipalities, as I've said before, are somewhere or try to be in that 75-25 range. And that's what we're working towards. And so as we gain a bigger and broader commercial tax base, which is 2 to 2.5 times higher than residential tax base, and as we gain more residential tax base, that will give us more dollars, no doubt, to be able to improve upon a lot of the things and a lot of the areas that you're talking about. I can guarantee you that there is no way that this council or any other council in future, for that matter, or any council in the past, would ever forget about part of our community. But what I will tell you is that this council is the first council to actually include the West End through our West End secondary plan that then got put into our official plan, which we're hoping to have approved by the county by the the end of May, middle of June. That's a first that the West End has ever been included in our OP, and that we've thought about people that far out. Kevin can speak a little bit about drainage issues along a lot of our streets. You know, it's always interesting to me because I never remember having ditches in our community growing up. And that's why when you go on a lot of streets today, including some of our main streets, River Road East, for example, there's no ditches. And a lot of people who move up here in the last 20, 30 years, when I speak to them, say, how do you have a town with no ditches? Well, it was a small town, it was a beach town, it was a bedroom community, and it was a tourist town. And so as we build new subdivisions and as we improve areas, we create ditches and we create better drainage and we create sidewalks. Isn't that a unique idea, to put sidewalks along the streets? And so we do that as we go along. But as Kevin mentioned earlier, there's only so much money. And we can all sit here tonight and we could probably have a drink or two and debate where money is spent and how it is spent. But at the end of the day, there's only so much to go around. And these projects are not cheap. You know, a road improvement that would have cost $4 million not too many years ago before COVID is now probably close to $20 million. You know, I can tell you the school boards are learning this very quickly. A school that they get a budget of $60 million on, a year later are going back and the province is having to give more money. It's a kind of scary situation. And if you think it's scary for most residents, which I absolutely know it is, this is a tough time. But it's very scary for municipalities, not just Wasaga Beach. And so I really believe, long story short, that as we move forward and we progress, it will give us more tax dollars to be able to improve those areas as opposed to forget about them.
I just want to add a couple of comments because it's an excellent question. Every budget staff does, we always have an eye to keeping existing infrastructure in a state of good repair. We're actually required to do that. So please, you are never forgotten, but it is a bit always an arm wrestle about how to spend those dollars. What you're seeing on these panels, what you're seeing up here is really important. The type of growth is going to change over the next little while. We're going to start moving away from these sprawling subdivisions on the periphery of town, and we're going to start focusing a little bit more in infilling in these strategic nodes, infilling in our downtown. So the type of growth is going to change, but the fact that we're still going to be growing is really important to all of your wallets, because when you get a Marriott hotel, we've just increased our tax base, our non-residential tax base. Costco, Food Basics, Shoppers, all of that is non-residential growth. It's creating jobs, over 1,100 jobs. But as the mayor said, it's helping us to get that skewed tax base more in all of your favor, which lowers the percentage that comes out of your wallet. So building the assessment base, getting those development charge revenues coming in, helps us keep all the infrastructure in a state of good repair and helps ease your wallets and all of our wallets. So when you stop growing, that's when you better look out. Look at a city like Detroit that flatlined and they went off a cliff. So we're in a very fortunate position that we're growing.
Thank you. Thank you for those responses.
Jocelyn.
Thank you. I also wanted to just add that part of our budget has contributions to our capital replacement reserves, and this is part of our asset management strategies that we are required legislatively to do. So these asset management replacement strategies are where we maintain what we've already invested in. So as we go forward and the tax base brings in more revenues, we can contribute better to our asset management reserves and be able to maintain our town and the infrastructure. So those are important strategies when we're looking forward, and those are always part of our budget planning process. Thanks very much.
I actually was going to add one last thought to that note, and this is really important as well. I would like to point out that intergovernmental relations is a really big part of what we do as well. We all know that operating and capital budgets aren't going to be going down. And so one of the big things that we do is we go to Queen's Park, we advocate, we lobby for funding from different levels of government. Some people say there's only one taxpayer. We say that what we're fighting for is the Wasaga Beach taxpayer. We've already attracted more than $155 million in provincial infrastructure funding just for our community since 2023, and we don't plan on slowing down.
Do I sense a negative or a positive comment coming from you?
I'm not telling you. I wanted to, first of all, let everybody know that we've been here since 4 o'clock. We spent those 3 hours informing ourselves of who those people were and what they were doing there. And we found out very quickly that they were representatives of the town. And the town does so much that I had no idea they did. But it was so informative and fantastic that we're glad that those 3 hours were spent on them. Next, one more thing. I want to thank you for that amazing presentation. The things that maybe I was a little bit not sure of, you clarified them. You clarified them for whoever asked a difficult question that would have been a little bit hard to answer. But if I had any doubts whatsoever, you cleared them all off tonight. And now, guess what? I'm dead tired. I've been here since 4 o'clock this afternoon. So I would like to ask everybody to please clap for tonight's evening. And don't stop, not now. No clapping. I want you to clap for them. And I want you to include our town firefighters. We have the most amazing firefighters we've seen. And now I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. I'm going to pick up my husband along the way and watch me walk out of here.
I've got to follow that. My quick question is, I'm on the west side, and I noticed that they're taking a swap of trees from the lake.
Rita, you forgot Peter.
Up to Beechwood and across to the bypass. Is that for the water tower? So
Sorry, could you repeat that? Sorry.
Okay, from the lake up to Beechwood and then across Beechwood almost up to the bypass, they've taken a whole section of trees out. Is that for the water tower or?
Yeah, Kevin will address that one.
Thank you for your question. So for those that live in the West End, you've lived many years with flooding and drainage issues, not only Robert Street, Beechwood residents, Maryland Avenue South, Thomas Street, Constance Boulevard, even Shore Lane near Betty Boulevard. That corridor is a result of some long-term planning around, we need to realign the water course that inundates that area. So we have a strategic channel that's going to realign that water course, control the flows right to the bay. So that's the first phase of that project. And it will serve the future elevated water tower lands and the West End depot lands. But it originally, phase one is really to provide that flood control that currently has been historically an issue for the residents in the West End. And that certainly is our primary drainage priority this year and next. And we've been able to work successfully with the neighboring developer to acquire lands to make sure that that culvert that comes under the new Highway 26, just southeast of, I'll say southeast of the end of Robert Street. There's no controlled outlet there, and there's no controlled outlet at the box culvert just kind of west of JC Cycle. That goes to the bay, it inundates that land and spills through private property. So we're going to contain that and control it and deal with the flooding finally out in the West End.
Okay, that property there too, I heard something about the military wanting to pump water up from there? No? Is it Meaford? Because I know there was a lot down near the lake that they were talking about that.
So I don't know a lot of the information, but I know certainly TC Energy is involved with the pump storage facility out of Meaford. Okay. And they need a transmission route to get to, ultimately I'm assuming Toronto. They're currently in kind of the investigative stages and the planning stages, and I encourage you to, there is a pretty informative website that is specific to that project, TC Energy, and specifically the pump storage facility. Our discussions with TC Energy has really been more around, they currently own the property right at the bay, right where that channel goes, right to the bay. So we've been negotiating the property and easement rights with them. They've indicated to us that it's still in the planning stages, but in terms of how that ultimate distribution network is going to go, that hasn't been confirmed, but they have indicated that Wasaga Beach outlet is one option they're considering, but they're still going through the planning stages, and there's a lot of information online about that. And I know as they proceed through the planning process, or the environmental assessment process, they'll come back and engage council and this community as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. This is in the Sunray deal. So it is, we still own it at the moment, correct? The Sunray property?
Today, yes.
Yes, okay. So, and in the deal, it was to be sold as is, correct?
Again, the details of that deal will go to council next week, and then we'll disclose them publicly after that.
Okay, that would be wonderful. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Can I just say a last thing? With global warming, if we have winters like we've had, nobody's going to go down to the beachfront for any hotel or anything. And you should be building it up along Main Street where it's out of the wind, and also on the river where you have on the map. That's a really good idea because it's sheltered too, because our weather has been horrendous and we haven't even gone down there.
So thank you for that comment. And I've heard that from a lot of people. And again, we're not new to snow. Sunray is very aware that we have winter and that we get snow. They're not looking at it as a liability, they're looking at it as an asset. So they're working with us to identify what are the things that can draw people in the winter. Snowmobiling, destination weddings happen year round. For those of you that go down to the beachfront in the winter, I do it all the time. It's beautiful down there. They've talked about maybe they could have some igloos that actually are on the beach that the hotel could manage. So they're looking at it creatively. The other thing I just want to draw all of your attention to, there's a lot of people in Wasaga Beach that live on the beachfront. Hundreds and hundreds of homes on the beachfront. They don't blow away. My family lives on the beachfront. We've lived there for decades. So you can actually live there. You just need to build the proper building. And the reality is there's a handful of days, yeah, they're pretty wicked. But the winter's beautiful in Wasaga Beach, and we're looking at welcoming people down to the beach in the middle of winter. Let's turn it into an asset.
I'd like to talk about the Wasaga River for a few minutes. Because the river offers a lot of recreational opportunities, and I've met people that have traveled a long way, even from Guelph, to come to Wasaga to fish the Wasaga. Now I've read, don't know if it's true, but I've read that the Wasaga River is the biggest supplier of salmon to Georgian Bay. And I know there's steelhead there and other fish. So 2 years ago, when there was flooding, and I thought my neighbor across the river was actually walking on water, but he was standing on his dock. I just couldn't see his feet. So there were a lot of trees that came down the river, and I'm on Oxbow Park Drive, I'm on the river, and I know there may be a few other people here that live on the river, but these were cut trees, cut and delimbed. So I had only installed a dock 1 week, brand new dock. And it had triangular openings in it. And then an 80-foot tree, which was cut but not delimbed, got stuck in that dock. And it cost myself and my neighbor $400 to have it cut and then towed to the Schoonertown Bridge. Now, why did it have to be towed to the Schoonertown Bridge? Because Public Works does not have jurisdiction from the Schoonertown Bridge upriver That portion of the river that I'm on is under the Federal Navigable Waterways Act. So I called the feds, I called the province, I called the NBCA to ask for help from all these logs going down the river, hitting boats. One of my neighbors that is on a bend, they took their boat out, they took their dock out because they were being smashed. So what I'm asking council is, so right now, from my understanding from Public Works, is that they have a barge and they can pick up logs, abandoned canoes, debris from the Schoonatown Bridge to the mouth. Now the feds, who are based in Sarnia, are not going to help us with the river from the Schoonatown Bridge upstream, and that is to remove dead trees, for example, or any other objects blocking the river. Maybe it's about time that we say to the feds, well, if you're not going to help us with our river, maybe it's time that we take over the river and we have jurisdiction, because we do not have any jurisdiction from that Schoonatown Bridge, the McDonald side, upstream.
Okay, I'm not sure we're going to solve that right now, but happy we'll huddle and we can have a chat with Kevin after we're done and just talk about some things that we might be able to do.
I live in the West End. Just a question. We're talking about all kinds of developments happening in Beach 1, but I'd like to find out what's happening with Shore Lane, particularly with all the flooding that we've had. I know that you've made that path, but is there being some work being done on that? And is the wetlands being protected at the same time that you're creating that waterway that you've done there? As I'm concerned about the wetlands there. And the threat of development, if this is what's happening now before there's a development that takes place, then we're really going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, I can speak to that. Thank you. I was kind of waiting for a question to come to the fire chief, but if there are any, please get up to the mic.
That's all he's going to do.
So in terms of the flooding, I'm assuming you're referring to the flooding in and around Shore Lane, west of 74th Street, in and around Betty Boulevard on open right. Yeah, so as I'd mentioned, as you may know, what inundates that area is the roadside drainage along Beechwood. It outlets basically into an area that doesn't have a defined outlet. And some of you may know that as Mr. Romanen's property. And so right now that uncontrolled flow follows the lowest path and does spill through some of the rear of the lots and along that Betty Boulevard unopened road allowance. What this channel is going to do is provide a dedicated outlet that never existed right from that culvert right to the bay. The channel itself will follow and will require Wasaga Valley Conservation Approval permits, and we're nearing the end of those permitting process right now. So any of the environmental issues and drainage issues that need to be addressed will be addressed through the permitting through the Conservation Authority. Yeah, so the wetlands on the development side, that'll be part of the development application, which I can't speak to when that's coming forward, but that's a planning application and they'll have to, again, it's in the Conservation Authority regulatory limits, so they'll need to satisfy the Conservation Authority as well.
Okay, last question.
Well, hopefully this is lighthearted enough. Chief, what took so long to get the Fire Station 2 upgraded?
The renovation? The renovation at Fire Station 2?
Yeah, $1 million spent on renovating it finally. It only took at least 30 years that I'm aware of.
She was an old girl, but it's looking very good now. Yeah, thank you.
Chief, in this day and age, I wouldn't have said an old girl, I would have said an old guy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and attention tonight. We truly appreciate it. We'll have another one of these in mid to late August. So if you have any other questions, you can come out then. But just keep in mind that every Monday, our CAO keeps CAO office hours, that you can come down to Town Hall and speak with the CAO, or you can reach out to my office, to my assistant, Michaela, and she'll help set something up for you as well. So thank you very much, and let's move forward with Wasaga Beach.
Try.